Yeah! Welcome to Nan.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy! Oh my god! Made it, cunt. That sounds like...
What's up, people? It is now 2016. It's actually the 2nd of January now. It's 12:15 a.m. on the 2nd of January. I go back into hospital today technically, but I'll say tomorrow to start my second round of chemotherapy. If you follow my Instagram, you would have seen I posted my results on my Facebook of the bone marrow biopsy that I had, that you would have previously seen if you watched the previous episode, the actual whole procedure. So my mum got a call from one of the doctors or specialists who had the results. The aim of this last chemotherapy round was to go into remission. Unfortunately, it hasn't done that. It didn't go that far. When I was first put into hospital, I was told I had around 20% bad cells or cancerous cells, and after the bone marrow biopsy that you would have seen came back with 2%. So it was a reduction by 90%, which isn't the goal that the specialists were wanting, but still 90% was a great result from that first round. So I think if after the first round of chemo I was over 5% cancerous cells, they would have done some other protocol to get me into remission. But I'm going tomorrow to start again, the exact same protocol, which should get me from 2% down to 0% in remission. So yeah, I'll be in there for the next 5 days or 6 days, however long. Might feel a bit bad and sick for I don't know, however long, and then we'll see. And then I'm not too sure what the goal is, because there has to be at least 28 days between cycles. So I'll finish this cycle, let's say the 7th or the 8th, depending on when I start. It's either tomorrow or the next day. And then by 28 days, it's going to be the start of February. And then they're talking about my bone marrow transplant taking place at late February, early March. So there's going to be like a month period there where I'm just going to be floating around, I think. I'm not too sure. So I guess we'll talk about it later on when we get more information. But because I'm going in tomorrow, they've got me started on these eye drops again. You would have seen on my tearing up video, I think it was number 3. And also that injection that you would have seen at the start of this one. I haven't spoken about the injection, but basically I have the injection when I have chemo, and obviously today before I start. It's called filgrastim. It's also called Neutrogen or something like that. But basically, you inject it into the subcutaneous layer of your fat. So it's usually the abdominals or on the thigh. I have very fat thighs, so I've used the area around my belly button. So you inject that into the subcutaneous layer, and what it does, it helps the bone marrow and the bones produce like what's known in the body as the immune system. It's called like the neutrophils or the white cell production, like numerous things. So I get that daily during chemotherapy, and until my neutrophils, which drop due to chemotherapy, go back up to a semi-normal measurement. And it's kind of an annoying thing to do, because I take it when I first wake up, like around 10 a.m, because you have to take it at roughly the same point every day. So 10 a.m. is usually, I wake up like 9, have an hour, and then inject it. But yeah, it's kind of just like an annoying chore that you have to do, because it's obviously slightly painful and then has a bit of a side effect. So because it makes the bones and the bone marrow push out more white cells and that sort of stuff, it like ups the production. It kind of means that they get a bit sore. So I get quite a bit of bone pain, which I think I've spoken about before. But it just means that I kind of have to I'm just a bit slower off the mark, just moving around. And usually most of the pain or the bone soreness is in my hips and in my back. So when I walk, imagine a normal person walking like this, like that. I tend to walk with a slanted back, like this, just because it's much more comfortable. I guess it's because there's not as much stress on each vertebrae. I'm not too sure what the science behind it is, but it's just more comfortable. So yeah, that's good. I'm going to deal with that for the next week or 2 weeks. But other than that, I hope you all had a lovely New Year's. You all stayed safe. Sticking out. I'll be making these videos once again throughout the next cycle. We'll see how we go depending on how I feel wellness wise. But for the moment, I'm gonna head to bed, get some nice sleep, and put these eye drops in, which is annoying. And we'll check in tomorrow.